So Arizona beat Creighton yesterday in the Maui Jim Invitational Championship game, and I'm really trying to practice reading the game on a more possession-to-possession basis, understanding the actions and the reads that are being made by the players. So I'm using this video more so as a way to document where I'm at right now, and so hopefully 6 months, a year from now, I can see what I'm missing and the areas that I've improved. But I also want this to be interactive. So if you see something that I miss or I'm wrong about something, please comment below what that is, because I'm just trying to learn and understand the game at a deeper level and not something that's just so surface. But I think a big reason that Arizona wins this game is because of Kerr Kriisa and his ability to operate out of the pick and roll. Creighton runs a pretty deep drop, and Kriisa did a phenomenal job at getting into the pocket of space that a drop defense gives you as a guard and just knocking down shots. He's off to a really hot start this year, 97th percentile in spot ups, 90th percentile in the pick and roll, 92nd percentile through 6 games, 44% field goal percentage off the dribble and 45% from 3 off the dribble last night epitomized that. For Kerr Kriisa, this is just too much space, and this is what you give up in a very low drop. But for Kerr Kriisa, who has unwavering confidence and shot mechanics that never change off the bounce regardless of the level of contest, like, this is just too much space for him, and he eats this up all the time. Like, this is the dream coverage for a guy like Kerr Kriisa, who can just shoot off the bounce and make plays off the bounce so well. But that's not to say that Creighton's drop defense doesn't work. Like, this is why you run drop defense, because you live with this shot right here. Kerr Kriisa is going downhill, you kind of give him a runway, gets 2 feet under him, but I mean, you would much rather have him take a push shot from the elbow than give up a 3 or a dunk. And analytically, this is just a much better shot to give up, and this is why you run it, because that's a difficult shot to make, and it's more lowly valued than some of the other options that you can get out of the pick and roll. And yeah, so it's not like Creighton's drop doesn't work. It certainly did at times in this game. Kalkbrenner just acts as their black hole that just sucks everything into him, and before you know it, you're buried too deep, and then the perimeter defenders can deny and cut off passing lanes and get the steal. But I think it was late in this game that really showed Kerr Kriisa and what he can do out of the pick and roll. Here and drop, like, this is the shot you give up, but Kerr Kriisa can make it because he's got touch and great ability off the bounce. And I think another side note here is Oumar Balou. He had 30 points, but he's just generally a wide human being. And so for Nembhard to not get clipped here, he has to take an angle to go around the screen. And at this point, he's a couple stride lengths behind Kriisa, and this gives Kriisa a free runway to get 2 feet under him. And this is not an easy shot because Kalkbrenner does contest. He's a little late, but this is a difficult floater to make. But Kriisa just has that touch to make it. And I think out of the pick and roll, he was just really good in this game. This isn't Kriisa, but this is a good job keeping the defender in jail, keeping him on his back. There's going to be no tag here from Nembhard or Kaluma. Maybe you could offer a high tag here, and then at this point, Kaluma maybe could show some resistance on the weak side. But once we get here, it's too late. This is an easy lob. Creighton stayed in this game with their offense, but they could not get stops defensively. And they tried some different things, and we can get into later in the game. They did see some success, but this time they bring Kalkbrenner to the level of the screen. Kriisa recognizes it, immediately rejects, drops his shoulder, gets down to the paint, and Nembhard does a good job staying attached here, but Kriisa can rise up over him because Nembhard is so short. And I mean, this isn't a terribly easy shot either, but Kriisa, like I mentioned, does have that really nice touch. This time, again, this is the exact same set, except it's run to the other side, and Kriisa uses the stagger rather than rejecting it. And because Oumar Balou had 30 points in this game, and because he's such a big human being and a force in the paint, Trey Alexander has to tag pretty deep into the paint, and this gives Kriisa a pretty big skip opportunity. He's able to make this pass, and by the time Ramey catches it, Alexander still has 2 feet in the paint, and Kalkbrenner has rotated back over to Balou. But after a wild closeout, Ramey's able to get 2 feet of zone in the paint, and then it's an easy laydown for 2. So as I mentioned, Creighton's staying in this game with their offense, but they couldn't get stops defensively. They threw everything at Arizona. They even throw this 1-3-1 up at them. But of course, Arizona carves it up. Nice bounce pass here for another 2-point basket for Balou. Heard that all night. Then they even try blitzing the screen with Kalkbrenner. And I think this is more so of desirable outcome for Creighton defensively. Let Balou catch it in the short roll and make him make a decision. We'll see if he can beat you there. And Jay Billis made a nice point on the broadcast. Like, Balou is just a completely different player, playing with so much more poise able to just collect himself out of the short roll and then show good touch again, make the right decision. In this situation, Nembhard's kind of playing two. The rationale is here, make Baloo do something out of the short roll, because if you throw it to Larsson on the wing, that's an easy post entry for Baloo deeper in the paint on the block. But like I said, Creighton is staying in this game with their offense, and a lot of that is due to Ryan Nembhard's ability to carve up the drop coverage that Arizona threw at him. And he did that with snake dribbles, keeping defenders in jail, change of pace, nice touch here again. You can see both of these point guards have really nice touch. And Nembhard reads this really well, because this is an action they ran a lot, where Kaluma will cut through, and Nembhard can recognize this space and rise up and hit this floater. Nembhard is just like his brother. So good with pace out of the pick and roll. Keeps his defender in jail, burst of speed, finish with finesse. But you see Arizona's running drop of their own. They tag Kalkbrenner there, but Nembhard recognizes the space that is created with Kaluma going through and his defender kind of going with him. Burst of speed, finish with finesse. And this play right here, I think, is just really cool. I think it shows a couple things. I think one, it shows the danger of not having a big that can shoot the ball or is a threat from shooting or some type of passing hub, because Kalkbrenner is not that. He did make a three in this game, but you can see what happens here. Omar Baloo is just content to sit in the paint and let Kalkbrenner do whatever he wants to do on the perimeter. And it allows his perimeter defenders to be very aggressive and deny, because if they get beat, they've got Baloo just camping out in the paint to protect the rim. But I also think this play shows some really nice toughness from Ryan Nembhard. Takes a pretty hard fall here, gets up, and he is just a gamer. And this is what I loved about him at Montverde Academy during his senior year of high school, was just this toughness. This time they bring empty side pick and roll. Nembhard's been torching them out of the drop, so they bring the drop a little bit higher for Baloo, but Nembhard is able to rise up and punish that NBA range. And this is really where Nembhard's game gets taken to the next level, is if he starts shooting these threes over drop in volume. That could really make him so much more dynamic out of the pick and roll. But I'm a big fan of Nembhard. I'm a big fan of the pedigree there. So Creighton does get some stops late in this game, like the 3 to 1 minute mark. They do see some success with bringing Kalkbrenner out to hard hedge or blitz. What happens here, it looks like it's Kalkbrenner extends and goes for the hard hedge. They swing the ball to Pelle Larsson. Nembhard's tagging low. Larsson misses this post entry, and to have Omar Baloo posting up Ryan Nembhard, that's an easy 2 points. But then everyone's able to rotate back. Baylor Scheierman jumps the passing lane, beats everyone down the floor. It's a 7-point game. Next possession in, they put Kerr Kriisa in the game, and how I was raving about him early on. I think his decision-making and operation of the pick and roll was great late in this game. Creighton just saw success with Kalkbrenner at the level of the screen, so they bring him there. Kerr Kriisa can read his momentum and see that he is a heavier-footed big and see that he can't always control his momentum well, so he rejects the screen, drops his shoulder low into Trey Alexander, gets to the middle of the paint, can feel Kalkbrenner recovering, and then just makes a terrific wraparound pass. And that is the magnificence of Kerr Kriisa. Baylor Scheierman is not going to stunt. He's not at the nail. It feels like Creighton didn't put a big emphasis on playing in the gaps as much in this game. Arizona, on the other hand, it felt like they were in the gaps a lot. But Kerr Kriisa sees this runway to the rim. Nobody stunts. And this is a terrific pass. And this is his first possession back into the game and one. And that's the brilliance of Kerr Kriisa, in my opinion. But Creighton's not out of it. They're staying in it with their offense. Ryan Nembhard scores off a UCLA screen here, gets to the rim. Pelle Larsson commits to Kaluma's pop, and when Kalkbrenner rises, so does Ballo. And at that point, Nembhard's too quick to recover. So Creighton had been seeing some success when they bring Kalkbrenner to the level of the screen late in the game. So they did it again. They blitz it and force a scramble situation here. Both Alexander and Scheierman are tagging low into Ballo to make sure he doesn't get an easy 2 points. At this point, Trey Alexander's got 2. Much rather give up a 3 than a dunk, and you got to count on some missed shots if you're going to make a comeback. So they missed the shot. Then in transition here, Baylor Scheierman is a nuclear spot-up shooter in transition. Find him deep range, and this is what you need if you're Creighton if you want to make this comeback. And now it's a 4-point game. Now at this point, Creighton has seen significant success bringing Kalkbrenner to the level in either hedging or blitzing late in this game, so they do it again. Kalkbrenner comes to the level of the screen. They get the ball out of Kerr Kriisa's hands, which is the goal. Kaluma is tagging, allows time for Kalkbrenner to get back. They swing the ball back to Kriisa, and they bring Kalkbrenner to the level of the screen again. Hedge, hedge, hedge. Kaluma is tagging low. Kriisa picks up his dribble. Pelle Larsson doesn't take a direct angle to the top of the key, and at this point it's scramble and forces a very tough shot. Turnover, and Creighton splits a pair of free throws and is now down 3, and this is the possession that the game hinges on defensively for Creighton. And this time they don't bring Kalkbrenner to set the screen. Instead, they bring Kaluma's man, and Kaluma's going to run drop. Trey Alexander's going to have to fight through the screen here and get to Courtney Ramey's pull-up 3, which Courtney Ramey is a good shooter off the bounce himself. He's comfortable there. Kaluma's in drop. I think it would have been interesting personally if Kaluma would have done some type of switch. I know it feels like it's in Creighton's scheme to do drop, so you can't really, you don't hold that against the kid for not going against the scheme. But Trey Alexander does enough to get there late to contest, force the miss, and then Creighton gets their opportunity down 3. And Nembhard has torched them out of drop. So what do? They hedge, bring Ballo, who has some slower feet and slower hips, but one thing that's really good about him is I think he can sit in a stance well. I might do a video on that. But you give up the roll on the runway for Kalkbrenner, but the thing with Nembhard is he's so short that he can't make this pass. And at this point, you force a late timeout. And then here, the inbound plays, you force Kalkbrenner to catch the ball, give him the space, run him off the line even though he's not a shooter, takes a dribble inside the line and make him be a decision maker, the 7-footer. And at this point, you just play the foul game and you walk away with the win. But I don't think that's really the only reason Arizona wins this game. They just dominated on duck-ins in transition. And Azuolas Tubelis just gets the ball out of his hands so quickly. So many of these duck-ins. I have probably at least 8 clips of this where Kalkbrenner and Creighton were just content to let the Arizona bigs catch the ball in the middle of the paint. And Ballo has tremendously improved his touch and post skill set. This is a tough shot, and it felt like the bigs made this all night. So credit to them, but it just felt like there was little resistance from Kalkbrenner to either maybe do something to three-quarter or get in front a little bit. But it felt like Arizona's bigs had a free catch in the paint whenever they wanted it, and then they just went to work. And that's how it felt like Creighton dug themselves in a hole. And even if the offense is converting for Creighton, they couldn't get stops until too late in the game. And then the execution on the last play. But nonetheless, this was such a high level game that was really fun to watch. And like I said, just trying to practice seeing the game possession by possession and understanding a little bit more about rotations and actions. So again, if I missed anything or you see something that I didn't see or I said something completely wrong, please tell me, because I would love to know personally, because I just want to learn. But thank you for watching if you watched this far, and I hope this brought value in some sense. Thanks.